Rice farmers cultivate 2 crops per year. Over the past couple of years, rice in general has seen a significant increase in production. However, this increase is not only based on more land being cultivated, but more importantly, the new methods in which the rice is cultivated and managed. The management we're referring to is the 6 points practice. Hi, I'm Carl Gurusamy, and this is the Science of Rice. This is a special broadcast made possible by the Guyana Rice Development Board to take you behind the facts and science of rice cultivation in Guyana. The 6 points practice has been introduced to farmers in 2007 by the Extension Department of the GRDB and spearheaded by Mr. Kuldip Ragnot. During that time, it was in its testing stage and farmers were reluctant to use the technique at first. However, farmers from Essequibo were eager to try something new.
We accept the change. And I, as a farmer, I always like to take chance. I'm not 10-acre farmer anymore, right? Or I'm on grow. So we just always give a piece. Even if we not get nothing from the piece self, we sacrifice the piece. But we didn't sacrifice it. Instead of sacrificing for not getting nothing, we get plenty more.
From day one, I am doing the 6 points since 2007 till today. And I find great benefit in it.
6-point practice had given to us the greatest encouragement that some of the lands, especially in the 3rd depth and 2nd depth area, when years ago people used to do away with those lands. They sell it out because of not gaining the right yield to pay with their, to be balanced with their expense. And so because of the intervention of GRDB, Mr. Raghunath and his full team, then today it brought great hope.
The 6 points practice is the 6 improved management procedures in rice cultivation, which when used results in higher paddy yields. In rice cultivation, the regular process as we know it is still done, but the 6 points practice is basically tweaking some of the practices and also using them in a more organized and effective manner. The 6 improved management practices are time of sowing, seed rate, seed treatment, weed control, balanced nutrition, and water management. Let's examine why the time of sowing is so important.
You should plant at a time or sow at a time so that the crop would flower during the period of high light intensity. So the consideration is here is that your planting and your flowering and grain filling period should have a relationship. The current sowing season for the autumn crop, which is May, mid-May to end of June, maybe early July. When you sow during that period, the plant will flower and the grain will be filled during the period August, September. And those are the periods where you have the sunlight. So that period of sowing or that time of sowing doesn't have to change. And that's you know, in this concept of time of sowing, that doesn't have to change because the farmers are doing the right thing when they're sowing during May, June, and maybe early July. So that is correct for the autumn crop. In terms of the spring crop, the sowing currently takes place in November, December, end of December, maybe the first week in January. And when you sow during this time, the rice will flower in February, grain filling, and in March. Again, during those periods, you will have bright sunny weather.
Once the plant flowers during the sunny season, it enhances pollination and grain filling. Using the right seed rate is just as important as time of sowing. Here's why.
We have done a lot of demonstrations using different seed rates. 80 pound, 100 pound, 120 pound, 140 pound, 160 pound, and even higher seed rates. In the studies where we use 80, 110, and 140 pound, what we found that the yields of the 80 pound and the 140 pound was not significantly different, meaning that the yields that you had with the 80 pound was almost similar to the yield that you had with the 140 pound. As a matter of fact, in some cases, the 80 pound, the yields with the 80 pound seed of paddy per acre yielded higher than the 140 pound. So the question is, why would you want to use 140 pound seed, that is 60 additional pound, which is costing money, when 80 pound seed can give the same results?
Seed treatment is the third important step in the 6 points practice. This is done during the time the seed is set to germinate.
Treating the seed has a lot of benefits. The first one is the seed or the seedlings are not being damaged by water weevil. So once you treat the seed and you sow it in the field, water weevil cannot affect it. Additionally, the young plant, as it's growing, the young plant will not be affected by leaf miner, caterpillar, stem borer. So in so doing, you are preserving these beneficial insects, and they are ladybird beetle, damselfly, dragonfly, spider. And what these benefit, the reason why we're calling them beneficial insects is that they predate on these other pests in the field. So they're natural control.
Now this is the way we come and spread it on the concrete to do the seed treatment. Doing it this way, you have much more efficiency, that you make certain that once you mix it thoroughly, that each grain have the solution contacted with.
It is important to wear protective gear at all times when treating paddy.
The chemical that we are using is Reginal, but the most important is the active ingredient, which is Fipronil. Now, the Fipronil is recommended at 0.9 ml per pound of seed, with 8.1 ml of water per pound of seed, which gives us a total of a solution of 9 ml of solution per pound of seed.
A knapsack sprayer is used to mix the solution. Water is added, then the chemical, then water again to have the right solution. Shake the knapsack to ensure the solution is properly mixed.
Yeah, we already spread and we already do a forced spring. Now we will turn the paddy up to make certain that we have some thorough mixing. And after we finish turning there now, we give it one more spray, and then we spread it and cover it to allow germination to take place. Now what we are doing here, we done treated the paddy. Now we make certain that the paddy have a thickness of 4 to 6 inches in depth. And now we're covering it now to allow for germination to take place.
The paddy is pressed for the customary 48 hours, after which it is picked up and broadcasted in the field. Weed control is forever a major concern in rice cultivation for most farmers, but the 6 points practice offers a simpler solution to weed control.
You must carry out this practice when the rice plant is 2 to 3 leaf stage. And as a matter of fact, when the rice plant is 2 to 3 leaf stage, the weed is also at 2 to 3 leaf stage. So that's the best time. And there's about 18, depends on all things being normal, that's around 16 to 18 days. The weed will be, at 2 to 3 leaf stage. That is, and farmers are well aware of the herbicides that they need to use to carry out weed control. So, as a matter of fact, that practice does not have to change. If you're doing it later, obviously you will want to bring it forward to about between 15 to 20 days. Now, the disadvantage when you conduct weed control at a later stage, it means the rice plant is older, and therefore the weed is older as well. So in this case, you might have to use more of the chemical to get effective control of the weed, and in so doing, you might very well kill the rice plant as well.
When the weed is at a young age, it requires less herbicides, and there is a better chance of effective control of the weeds at this stage.
Weed management is very important in rice cultivation. The reason for doing weed management is that to get rid of weeds in the field, so that when we put on our fertilizer, we do not have much competition to take up the nitrogen of the fertilizer. So when the weeds is fully controlled, you only have the rice plant would have access to the nitrogen that we apply. Today we are using the weedicide called Nominee, and this pack it's contain 100 grams, and 100 grams is recommended for 1 acre. We're using a CP3 can, so this chemical here would have to go into 4 CP3 can, and it's recommended to use 4 knapsack sprayer per acre. The reason for using 4 knapsack per acre is that we want the weed to, especially to be wet. So when it's wet or bare, it would definitely have control. So that's why we have to use a large volume of water to make certain that we get every weed exists in the field to be covered.
This amount is dissolved in water before spraying in the field. It is important to wet each weed thoroughly to have proper control. Note his protective gear, as it is important when handling poison.
All the time we used to work wild, shy, plow, do anything as such. But since we started to deal and go about in this field days, and go about and see and hear what's going on, and we started to practice it. We doing excellent, because my area, in Riverstone area, we used to get like 18, 20 bags paddy. And as you go about, I could remember I went in Cane Grove when one of the fellas said that he do this practice. To be honest, I used to go all about and listen, but I never really tried to follow this thing. But when I go and see, I started to come back and deal with this field as the assistants here. And the guy from my end, Tamish, I work along with him. And to generally speaking, right now I got 5 acres, and I used to get like 18 and 20 bags paddy. I can guarantee you this crop here, I got over 50, 52 bags paddy per acre now, with the 6 point practice, what we're dealing with.
In 2007, when I heard of this 6 point system, it motivated me in the sense that I must get this knowledge of this 6 point system, because I heard that it will be beneficial to me in the long run. So I was invited to a farm school session by the field officer of this branch, But being a school teacher, I could not have attended all the sessions. So I got time off for a few of these sessions held at Pandit's field in Affiance. I went to these sessions and I took note about these 6 steps, and I decided to try it. And believe you me, I had never gotten the yield like this before. Before I started the 6-point system, I would get about 30 to 35 bags per acre. And using the 6-point system now, I'm getting 47 to 51 bags per acre. One time I got 53.
I accustomed to the old-fashioned way of planting rice, reaping a maximum of 20 bags an acre. And since I started to apply the 6-point, I said move from there on to 30 bags an acre. And I feel so much satisfied with that I feel that I was way back all the time wasting time. And it's only now I could apply in the 6-point, I could be able to see the benefit in planting rice. I feel like it's time now to retire, but the 6-point have given me so much of encouragement that I feel like I can start again.
Having a balanced nutrition is a very, if not most important aspect in the growth of a rice crop. This brings us to the 5th management practice of the 6 points method.
Fertilizer incorporation means you are combining these fertilizers with the soil. It therefore means that it is being done during the time of land preparation, because that is where you will get the fertilizer into the soil to mix with the soil. Now, it can be done, the best case or the best time to incorporate fertilizers is during dry land preparation. During that time, because the land is dry, you will have more distribution of that fertilizer in that soil and more adherence or binding to the soil particles.
Throw the potash and the triple dry on the field before I plow. After burning, I did that. So I plowed that in. It was very simple, easy to shy, because when you finish burning the field, you walk and you whistle and you throw the fertilizer. You mix the triple and the potash.
And the reason why it's being applied on the dry soil or on the reduced water level is because you want to prevent nitrogen loss. That's the primary reason why we are applying the urea on the dry soil. In the past, urea used to be applied under flooded conditions. It has been established that when that happens, or when that takes place, over 50% of the nitrogen is being lost due to ammonium volatilization. Basically what happens here is the urea breaks down and the nitrogen, the urea breaks down in the water and the nitrogen escape back into the atmosphere, and studies have shown over 50% of the nitrogen can be lost. So when the farmer thinks he's applying 1 bag of urea per acre, he's actually applying half bag of urea per acre, because half of that will actually escape into the atmosphere.
This is how we shy the nitrogen dry into the field. And then after 3 days, then you add water. This is the best way where you get a better quality of shiny fertilizer. In the water, most of the, I got to say actually half of the nitrogen go away. But with this here, you can get about more than half, up to 70%. And you get a more longer greenness in the field, up to 3 weeks and a half, 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks. So this is why I do 6-point practice. And before time we didn't know, you throw the urea and nothing doing. The rice in 8 days don't get back yellow because you didn't know for do whatever. But since the new 6-point practice come out, it's a different program.
Most of these urea, in urea application, 2/3 of it is applied at the first dose, or the bulk of it is applied at the first dose, and 1/3 the second dose. Now the reason why you would want to apply the bulk of it in the first dose, it's because the plant is very young, 18 to 21 days, 14 to 21 days, it's very young, and it's in the growing stages there. It's a period where it needs the nutrient to accelerate its growth. So you want to have those fertilizers in the soil so that it can be available to the plant. And it's applied under dry conditions. The 2/3 that is being applied between 40 to 45 days, or the remaining fertilizers, the soil, you don't have to really dry the field because the plant is already grown, established, the roots are already developed. So the small amount that you apply then, that it will be readily taken up by the plant.
The last, but certainly not the least important method of the 6 points practice is water management.
This is a very key area because it's done soon after, within 0 to 3 days after the application of urea. Now, why is this done? It's because you want to trap the urea in the soil. Now, once the urea is applied on the dry soil, you flood the field. And what the water does, or you reflood the field, what the water does, it takes the urea, the nitrogen, down into the soil profile, trapping it there. Once it's trapped there, it becomes available to the plant whenever it needs it.
There's definitely less expense when you do the 6-point practice. And the 6-point practice, if all farmers could just come out and do the 6-point practice, it would be better for them. They will have better high yields.
We see much benefit from the 6-point because, like for instance, the less seed rate that you're using, also the seed treatment, applying the dry fertilizer, and the amount of yield that you're having, we see in much benefit in this day that they brought to us.
I used to throw 200 pounds paddy per acre, and the yield 20 or 30. You ain't getting more than that, 8 acres of rice land. And I was encouraged by one of his very, very good extension officer, Mr. Devendra, to come to a field school. I can't remember which was, I think was Soldier, your field at Paradise. So I went on the field school and I saw for myself what was transpiring there. So, well, obviously, Soldier explained what he have done in terms of preparation, putting the fertilizer in preparation and drying, and then you shy the urea. So I take it into consideration myself. But there was no help around Sevalaikaragam. So what I did, I came here and I met Devendra and more members of the other staff, Mr. Kulip's staff, and I asked them about the 6 points, what's going on? Give me a paper to know what's going on. And first of all, they asked me how many acres. I said 8. I said reduce the seed rate from, he asked me how much, he said 200 bucks by maybe. He said, well, you got to come down to like about 100 or 120. I go ahead, do what I was told to do in terms of getting the 6 points right. The soil test was done. Get the fertilizer, which the required amount of fertilizer, and the right fertilizer to incorporate into the land. while I do it at the final preparation, that very crop, I was wondering to know what is going to transpire. You know, you dry the field out. When I dry the field out, you say, man, you got helicopter space. Because you're not accustomed to throw the amount of paddy like what you've showed here. So you got space. But I can tell you this, after 21 days of drying, the land dry out, that very crop from 6 point, from 20 to 30 bags a acre, I jumped to 42 bags per acre. I never ever get it.
Well, it cost me less because with the seedling, we use less seed, less drugs, less workman because you treat the paddy in your shy, so you don't have to pay a spray man. Then you don't use so much of seed, cost you less from the seedling. When we used to use one big bag, which is about 175 to 180 pounds seed to shy 1 acre. Now we only use about 100 pounds. In some of my plat, we try 90 pounds. This plat here is 100 pounds. So it's far simpler and cheaper right now.
Make sure you treat your seed paddy, make sure your field are level, and drain your field after you've sown your field. And apply the fertilizer as being recommended. You will get better results with the same amount of fertilizer that you are throwing.
It is a proven fact that farmers are benefiting more from their rice crop using the 6 improved management practices. It saves them money, produces higher paddy yields, and allows them to have a better standard of living. That's all for this week's program of The Science of Rice. Thanks for watching. Do join me next week, same time, same place. Have a great evening, everyone.